And hi, my name is Chris Price. I'm the Academic Programs Manager for the SUNY Center for Professional Development. Welcome to this second uh, webinar in our Fact 2 task group on microcredentialing webinar series for the spring. Like I said, I will be recording this, and all the recordings will be posted in Workplace, in the microcredentialing group in Workplace. If you're not in Workplace, I'm going to post a link right there now. All the campuses are gradually getting on board to Workplace. You can log in with your campus credentials if you're not there already. Search for the group, and you'll see the recordings in that group. It's an open group, so anybody can join it. If you're not in Workplace or won't be there anytime soon, you can email me at chris.price@suny.edu, and I'll send you the link to the recording after this if you'd like it directly. So there's a link also I put in the chat to the webinar series information. So this is the second in the series. The first one, we had the nuts and bolts of microcredentialing last week, and that recording can be found. I'll put the link to that recording as well. But you could, if you go into the Google Doc that's there, you'll see the list, the schedule, and you'll see a link to register. So if you've only registered for this one and you'd like to register for the others, you could go into that link and log on. And I think if you've already registered, you have to sort of edit your cart to do it. If you have any trouble, you could email me and we'll help you out. The link is the same, though, that we're using for all the webinars, the Zoom link. So we prefer that you register, but if for some reason you don't get registered before the next one, you can just go back to this link and log on that way. So I've also then posted the link to the previous recording to the first webinar. And that webinar essentially went over, like I said, the nuts and bolts of what microcredentialing is all about. One of the things I do want to put, and I'm also going to put in the chat, is there's a SUNY website now about microcredentialing, and I'm going to put that in the chat. And we encourage everybody to either review the recording of last week's nuts and bolts session or go to the SUNY website to see the latest about microcredentialing. There was a provost task force that just completed its work and submitted its final report last month. And that report has principles of microcredentials that have been sort of accepted at the SUNY system level, and other sort of resources, definitions, and that sort of thing. So that task force group is done. The Fact 2 task group work, which is this series is part of, is going on this semester and will probably continue through next year. The webinar series is one part of it. There are a bunch of other things associated with that group as well. Jill Pippin from Oswego is chairing that group. So like I said, this is only a half an hour, and the next few webinars in this series will feature what the campuses are doing in microcredentials, with microcredentials, and so I want to give the folks at Alfred State plenty of time to do that. So what we'll do is we'll have a presentation by them, and then you could either put your questions in the chat, and I will monitor the chat, or if you'd like, you could ask your question just at the end. Just unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question at the end that way. So like I said, today we have Danielle O'Brien, Leah Shafito, and Jonathan Hilscher from Alfred State, and they're going to talk about what they're doing with microcredentialing on their campus. So take it away, guys.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And thanks for inviting us here. We just wanted to start a little bit with the team of people that we really put together. We were funded through an IITG opportunity to have this project started. And it basically was Jonathan and I who wrote the grant, and then we were able to hire Leah as part of that to be our e-learning specialist to really project manage and help these badges really come to fruition and see the pathway that they can take. So I'm the Director of Online Learning here at Alfred State.
Hello, everyone. Jonathan Hilscher. I'm the Director of Civic Engagement. Nice to be here.
So for the sake of time, we'll turn this over to Leah, who is going to explain what she's been working on.
Great, thanks, Danielle. I just want to also mention we have two other advisors that we work with from Career Services and Student Engagement, and they both offer a lot of expertise in helping guide the pathways. So just a bit of context about how we decided to structure badges at our campus. So the main goal here was career readiness, and so we decided to have certain frameworks in place to help guide the content as we move forward. So the main focus right now is student employees, but we do have plans to expand to the entire student body, maybe even community members, and that'll be down the line. But for now, for our summer pilot specifically, we will be working with student employees at Alfred State. So within that, we have two main frameworks in place. And the first comes from StrengthsQuest. And if you're not familiar with the program, it's an online survey that anyone can take. It offers great analyzation of strengths and weaknesses and helps guide students as well as employees on how to work with the strengths that one has. So we thought that would be a great overarching structure to help students start thinking about badges and how they can utilize it towards career readiness once they graduate. And within that, we also have the structure of 8 career readiness competencies that are published with the resources from NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So they offer great resources and also great research that shows us what employers are looking for when they start hiring college graduates. And so looking at those different influences, our stakeholders for badges on our campus are students, right now student employees specifically, as well as faculty, staff, and employers. Okay, so within that context, just to talk about the 2 foundational initiatives that started up badges. So I started working as the project manager in September of 2017. So during the fall semester, these are the 2 activities that I mainly worked on when starting to build badges at Alfred State. And so these are simultaneous. It wasn't that one began and the other ended, but they both really helped understand the unique needs, strengths, and interests of the students and faculty and staff at Alfred State. So the first was data collection and research. So this includes different activities like focus groups, surveys, presentations, group and individual meetings and discussions to assess interest and also kind of different thoughts on microcredentialing. Within that is gathering resources. This is outside resources, which was conducted through research, but also understanding resources available on our campus. So utilizing all the things that we already have access to. And within that was also analyzing other programs in microcredentialing that already exist, because a great way to understand how microcredentialing is starting to adapt in a college setting is by looking at programs and how they've been structuring their badges. And so the second initiative then was networking and collaboration. And so this kind of goes in different ways. One big aspect was advertisement. A lot of students haven't heard of microcredentialing, so just a simple concept that needed to be put in place was promoting microcredentialing and starting to, explain what the program is to different schools and how to utilize pathways to microcredentialing within their own campus. And so along with that was connecting with central organizations. Alfred State has great student engagement, and a great way to get students involved, engaged, and interested is by finding those key organizations. And that also includes the faculty involved in those organizations and circulating information about badges. Okay, so just a little more elaboration. We'll go through this quickly. So for students, we had what we called student input roundtables, and this was a great way to just speak with small groups of students, like a focus group, and ask them questions about what they would like to see microcredentialing look like. This was a great way to get feedback so that we formed badges that were actually interesting and useful to students on something that they would be interested in taking. And this also included presentations to large groups of student employees. So again, this information needs to be circulated, and presentations were a good way to do that, along with online surveys and questionnaires, because that's a great way to access the large group in a brief survey and get some clear results from that. For faculty and staff, there was also a survey for them via Blackboard and some different discussions with relevant groups. Employers were also kind of assessed for different fieldwork. There was a career fair survey that was handed out, and there was some great feedback from that, as well as consulting different outside resources from NACE and other universities. And finally, SUNY has been extremely useful with the different materials that they offer, the reports, and also by attending the November Fact 2 Symposium and getting some information from different campuses. And the second, a little more elaboration on collaboration. So the student groups that are specific to Alfred State were Greek life, student senate, resident life, and athletics. And that's just our own school, so every school I'm sure is different. But for us, these are the key organizations that have large groups of students, many which are employed by the university, and they offered great ways to involve career readiness skills while still at Alfred State, but also thinking about how to use those career readiness skills once they graduate. And so again, faculty staff are also included in these organizations and speaking with them along with career services, civic engagement, online learning. They all offer great ways to collaborate and build badges on our campus. And then once again, SUNY plays a vital role in collaborating and building upon badges so that it's a true success on our campus. So looking at the fieldwork results that we had, this is kind of mostly from the research, but also from collaboration, which allowed different access to different groups. We were able to have 4 main badges kind of appear from the research done during the fall semester. So the first was employers, students, faculty, and staff. And the main skill or competency that came out of that accumulation of all groups was actually communications, both oral and written, and that is a NACE competency. So that was quite interesting. And then for the top skill or competency desired by students, and this was leadership. And this can be analyzed different ways. Students want to kind of be their own manager. They want those skills to kind of lead their own career. So that was interesting to consider and also make sure that we include so that we're touching on students' interests. And then the top skill competency that was desired by faculty and staff were employers. So this was work ethic and professionalism that came through, and I don't think this was too surprising. Faculty and staff, they still want to see that work ethic while their students are with them, and employers, of course, want to see professionalism, work ethic once students are in the workplace. And then finally, the top skill or competency that was desired by employers was critical thinking and problem solving. And that's one that I don't think other groups necessarily ranked high, but it was something that faculty and staff also ranked on the higher side, which was interesting as well. So from those results, we've decided to start with 5 badges. And so the badge breakdown for time management will be about 3 hours for 3 different sections, so 3 mini sections, you could say, and then that adds into a total of 9 hours per badge. So right now we have 5 badges that you're looking at. So you can see the 4 from the fieldwork results, communications, professionalism, work ethic, critical thinking, problem solving, and leadership. And at the top, you'll see career management. So there isn't one necessary badge pathway that a student has to take, but this is kind of the ideal path that we have structured here for you today. And career management being at the top, that wasn't one that was ranked highest by fieldwork, but we think it's a good necessary step to start with. So for the career management badge, one of the 3 mini sections of the 3 hours will include the Strengths Quest survey. So that'll be a good way for students to analyze what strengths and weaknesses they have before they start different badges of their choice. And they can decide to then follow the other 2 3-hour sections and complete the career management badge, or they could move on to one of the other 4 options for the summer pilot. And so that first section will be mandatory. We encourage students to complete as many as they'd like. This is a good way to start off with different stakeholders' interests and needs, and offer students different options as they consider the possibility of badges and how it'll help them with career readiness. So just considering what we are looking ahead for the spring and also the fall. So right now we're forming the rest of the content for the non-credit courses, and from there we will be working with the e-learning board and other faculty approval before the badges are published on Blackboard Learn. And we will also be assigning faculty and staff graders for the different courses. And with that, there will be web page creation. We have a web page being worked on currently. I do emphasize that one will definitely be useful for students as they start to consider badges, and also for anyone who is interested in taking the courses but aren't really sure about what they offer. This will be a good resource for anyone on campus. And with that, we also need to advertise the summer pilot. There's been a lot of initiatives that I spoke about earlier, but we need to make sure that students are reminded that the summer pilot is going to be occurring and how they can get signed up and start taking some of the badges. And then from there, we'll also be doing a press release, again, advertising to the student body of the possibilities of badges and how to kind of access that further. And we're also currently looking for future collaboration with different partners, with SUNY and beyond. So that is something we're also currently working on. And then the end goal is to have the 8 badges based on the framework of the 8 career competencies from NACE. So from there, that's kind of what we're looking forward to in the next year. And, you know, we're in the earlier phases, but I think we have a good start. And I just wanted to take the chance today to explain how we started, because we started with just the grant. So this is the first early stages that we've done, and how we've accessed the campus and what it's interested in seeing and what it needs to have and what the badges can offer from that. If anyone has any questions or comments, they could share it in the chat or they could ask at this time. I'd be happy to respond to either.
Yep. And while everyone's thinking about their questions too, one of our goals for this, once we have our badges completed, is that we will release the framework as an OER. So it will be an open educational resource that any institution could take and adapt in a way that will make it their own. So that will be later on, but that's definitely an end goal for us, because we feel like we've done quite a bit of this work around finding a framework for NACE, interviewing our students, and getting all this campus input, and that it would be helpful for a school who wanted to just sort of start up and have a framework to work from. That OER content will be available in the future.
So I see there's one question in the chat. Could you talk a bit more about who will be grading the assignments for the badges?
Yeah, absolutely. So the assignments that we have come up with inside of each of the badges, so there, like Leah said, there's the one main badge that they'll be earning, but they'll be doing 3 different activities basically in there. One of the activities is really focused on readings and research and more of the kind of how to do something or the actual, I guess, course content in the sense of like readings and videos that's out there. The other 2 pieces will be focused more on applications. So students in the leadership piece, if they're working on that badge, will actually have to coordinate some sort of a leadership project or demonstrate their role as a leader. And then they will, in a lot of the cases for those things, they'll write their structure for what they've been working on and follow up with a reflection about how that is impacting, how it impacted them, how it impacted others. It kind of depends on which badge it is, what sort of questions they're getting. But then we have folks from each of the areas. So the leadership, we have a leadership minor that's run out of, actually all the faculty are in our civic engagement office, and Jonathan is one of them. So one of those folks will probably be the person kind of checking off that students did this and making sure that it's the quality to earn that badge. There's another competency that's on technology. Most likely that will either be with our tech services department or out of my office with online learning, where we'll be able to verify that the students, in fact, did a project that will meet the criteria for earning that badge. And we're looking for faculty volunteers to be some of those kind of raters as well. We're hoping to keep consistency, but also kind of spread that workload and get people who are really excited about it on campus available. Does that help answer?
There was also a follow-up question, and you kind of addressed it, but it says, how learning and outcomes assessment might be different from traditionally taught courses. So if there are any differences there than, a 4-credit course.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, our badges currently, because it's still a pilot, have not gone through our faculty senate, or any kind of like course approval that would be a traditional process. If we decide to keep this, the badges will go on their co-curricular transcript. So that will be something that will get our faculty senate. I mean, we have faculty who are involved in the development of it, but not so much in the rollout because it's a fairly new project. So our e-learning committee is aware and engaged with some of what we're working on here. And I think they will be the ones who will champion with other faculty and their departments and faculty senate to really help get that involvement that we're going to look for down the line. As far as assessment goes, we do have learning outcomes for each of the mini modules that will be the badge. So there will be learning outcomes, and then the assessment piece will be whatever the students submit and having that come back. We haven't decided yet whether it will be a rubric that will be used as a grading tool or some sort of kind of more objective way.
Are all the badges earned in online contexts? That's the next question.
So they are, for our badges right now, they are all available to be earned in 100% online, yes. So really our goal was that our online students could take it, our international students could take it, our students who are here on campus could be involved. And it's a lot of the projects that they choose to do determines whether they will need to be on campus or if they can work with another organization that's local to them. So they can be done 100% online.
Next question is, do you cover what badging system? Are you using Blackboard Achievements or Credly or?
Yeah, so for the pilot, we're using Blackboard Achievements, and we think we'll be pretty happy with those while it's in-house. But as our students really want to share their badges and put those kinds of things on the resume, we're going to have to probably look at an option like Credly.
So I have a question. So right now you're starting out with non-credit courses and in the co-curriculum. If it's successful, is there any thinking that you might sort of move these to 4-credit courses and perhaps have a sort of micro-credential certificate or micro-credential, like a stackable kind of a situation where you have a badges stack into a micro-credential?
Sure, why not? I mean, we love that idea, and I think there is some opportunity on our campus where we're seeing the potential for that. Possibly in the near future. I think some of it's going to depend on whether we can educate our campus well enough on the quality of a badge, and if we can all agree that that can be stackable and that we can create some sort of minor or micro degree that can lead into that. So I think for us, Gen Ed is one of those places that would be a good opportunity. And we have some folks who are maybe open to that. So I'm not committing to anything right now, but I think that there's lots of potential for that in the future.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Maybe we'll just wait one more minute. Is there anybody who wants to chime in on the microphone?
I would just add one thing. One of the ideas we had behind this program was, all of us have hundreds of student employees on campus, and we were sort of strategizing on how to make it more of a high impact practice to have student employees and provide resources to them. I mean, all of us as professionals have access to professional development resources. So this is one approach to help enhance the employment experience on campus and help our students be more ready for the workforce. that's one application. That's one reason why we're piloting it with the summer work study students, is to see how successful it is in that context. So it'll be for all students, but we especially had student employees in mind when we were developing this.
So there is another question about faculty support, and you addressed this a little bit, but maybe you could expand on it a little bit. You said that faculty were involved in some of the creation of these learning modules, and the question was, are they helping the development content and enthusiastically?
Yeah, so our e-learning committee is really a great committee to work with. They see Leah as the expert in micro-credentialing right now on our campus. I mean, she's the one that we hired. She has all that knowledge in her head, and they're really giving her the free rein on that. I think more of the guidance in the sense of content development is coming from those advisors that were on that second slide, the committee that's sort of helping Leah navigate what we should be putting in those badges. So the faculty committee, our e-learning committee, will have kind of a final say and a final blessing before we roll it all out, but they are pretty open to just seeing how this is going to go. And I think some of that is because it's a pilot, but they are excited.
There's another question here, but I'm asking for clarification. The question is, how do the partners feel about badges and how significant it is to them and their organizations moving forward? I assume you mean career partners, the career folks?
Like employers?
Yes. Okay. Yes, that is what that
Okay.
is. Yep.
So our employers actually, I mean, Leah was able to talk to some of them at different career fairs that we had on campus and one at a neighboring university. So she was able to have those conversations. They seem very open to it and interested. I think, again, what it comes down to for some of that, you know, she got questions about what is a badge or what does that mean? So I think it's, again, the educating our employers and the companies that do employ a lot of our students, making sure that they understand what an Alfred State badge is, what students did to earn it. And we're working, actually, Leah and I were talking about this earlier today, on branding our badges so that they recognize it as an Alfred State badge rather than just some generic thing that could have come from anywhere. So that's something that we're trying to help our employers, and it is part of the education process and the marketing and the advertising in that sense. They seemed open and excited, and especially for the professionalism and I think time management and punctuality. Those were things that came out in the employer survey that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I really think is exciting about this project is that, you know, you do hear faculty complain often that their students work all the time. So if you could get, you know, help students acquire skills that would be helpful in their courses and in their careers and afterwards, you know, in the process of working while they're going to school, I think it sort of just makes a lot of sense. So very cool.
Right. They can use it now, but they can also use it in the future. And I think that's kind of our goal in the end.
I don't see any other questions. Since if anybody joined late, I posted a bunch of links in the chat earlier, which you didn't have access to and if you logged in late. So the one that I really want you to check out is the system webpage on micro-credentials that has the latest the task force report and the principles and the policy that the trustees unanimously adopted last month. And I know Cindy Proctor chimed in and said if you had any questions about that, you could contact her. I'll put her email there as well. And like I said, if you are in Workplace, I will post the recording to this webinar in Workplace. But if not, I will put my email there, and you can email me, and I will gladly send you the recording once it's available. My email is in there. And I just want to thank you all for presenting today, and I look forward to hearing how the pilot works out. I'm sure we'll hear it at CIT or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And all right, I think that'll do it. Thanks again, guys. And I'm going to
Thank you.
I'm applauding for all these. I know, you know, everybody can't applaud, but that was great. Thanks a lot.